Here's one of my favorite quotes, and I actually took this and changed a quote up a little bit that I had already heard. So let me tell you this one, and I'm going to tell you the original quote that I heard. The human body is under no obligation to make sense to you. All right. I got that from a quote that I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson say once. Most people, you might know who he is. He said, the universe is under no obligation to make sense to you. And that just really stuck with me because the human body is its own universe, right? And particularly the pain. And when you're trying to help somebody heal from pain, that's a crazy universe that the possibilities are endless, right? But it does the best it can with what it's got in the moment it's in, and that's the way we need to do stuff as well. So I'm going to try my best to explain to you why these things link together and why you may have issues with your shoulder and your hip with the liver. But I got news for you. Sometimes I have no freaking idea why it might help it. I have no idea why it doesn't help it. But I know this much. Nobody comes into my office where I don't check off the liver box, which means that I go through a checklist of different systems, different organs, different areas of the body that I always look at no matter what your complaint is. If the liver or the right side of the rib cage is not an issue, perfect. I'm going to check off the box. I'll move it to the side. That means I don't need it anymore. But if I don't check it, then I'm going to contend you're always going to struggle to get where you need to go because you didn't check a fundamental box on basics that need to make sure functions well, right? Because nobody comes into my office and says, Doc, I got to see you today. My liver is killing me. Well, one, it might kill them when I stick my fingers underneath the right rib cage and I press on it and it hurts. And it's not supposed to hurt when I stick my fingers on your liver. That's a first sign that you got a problem because you got inflammation. But they usually will feel that pain somewhere else. I'll give you two big places that they usually feel it: the shoulder and the hip, right? But they can also feel it in the lower back or wherever in the world the body wants to send it based on the human being that you're dealing with and their life story that's brought them in to see you at that moment from their own compensations and adaptations that they've done since the moment that they were born and all prior injuries. So Lorimer Moseley, who's a brilliant pain scientist, said that when it comes to pain, everything matters, which he's right. Which begs the question that where in the world do you start? Because nothing is more terrifying than the idea of unlimited possibilities. That's exactly what it is when somebody comes in to see you with chronic pain, right? So if you can start anywhere, it could be anything. This is how I look at it. So I'm going to go over my thought process here so it'll help you kind of understand my thinking of why I started to get into working with organs because I work with them all. And so do you, whether you realize it or not, is that no system in the body ever works alone, never gets injured alone, never heals alone. There is no such thing as an isolated injury in the body. There is no such thing as isolated healing. So, what does that mean? So, look at the liver here. Look at the amount of ligaments that attach to the liver. What that means is this: if you see a body part that has a lot of ligaments attached to it, that means one thing. One, it's super important. Two, it means it's supposed to move a lot, but with control. It's supposed to move a lot, but with control, just like your ankle. So your ankle is supposed to move a ton. What happens when ankle mobility doesn't move, right? Or you get too much motion in the ankle? It's they are important in relationship to stabilization, but they're also important to what? Mechanoreceptor feedback to the brain to give the brain a sense of where the organs are when you breathe and when you move. So when you get adhesions and inability for the liver to move, maybe you got some abdominal surgeries, maybe you had a C-section scar, maybe you had a gallbladder removed, abdominal surgery of any type, then you're going to interfere with this mechanism and then you can get decreased neural feedback into the brain called interoception. Interoception is the sensation going into the brain from the internal part of the organs, and that drives a lot of nociceptive feedback to the brain, which is potential for danger and threat signals coming to the brain. What I want you to notice here is look at the ligaments at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 ligaments attached to the liver. That's why if you don't breathe from your diaphragm, then and you breathe mostly from your lungs, you're not going to get optimal movement in the liver. And the liver, if you don't move the liver, it gets stagnant. Breathing is one of the things that moves it. Right? Then I want you to look here. It's going to go to the kidneys. So if I move your liver, I'm going to get some motion in your kidneys. I'm going to get some motion in your colon. And I want you to do this big long one that looks like kind of like a saber sword here. That's the navel that goes to the navel. It's the falciform ligament. And that's innervated by the phrenic nerve, right? And the phrenic nerve is the one for the diaphragm. C3, C4, C5 keeps the diaphragm alive. Why is that? Because the liver descends from the neck. The liver descends from the neck. And then if I do motion down here in the abdomen, maybe, just maybe, I'll change my diaphragm and how I'll breathe. And that's the person who says, Doc, you did that liver thing and then my neck feels better. Why is that? C3, C4, C5 keeps the diaphragm alive. So those segments in the neck can go down the liver, but it's a two-way street. It can go back up. All right, so we're going to show you a video here. This was taken from one of my courses. I'm going to give you the lay of the land here.